There was a man coming out of church one day, and the preacher was standing at the door, as he always was, to shake hands. He grabbed the man by the hand and pulled him aside. The pastor said to him, "You need to join the army of the Lord." The man replied, "I'm already in the army of the Lord, Pastor." And the pastor questioned, "How come I don't see you except Christmas and Easter?" And the man replied, "Because I'm in the Secret Service." At first glance of today's reading from Colossians, we would think that what Paul is talking about is all the things we should not do. He is laying out a list of imperfections and flaws that are part of being human. He even calls them our earthly nature. What I fear is missed is the simplicity in which he actually speaks. What he is saying is that we should put away all these things. Stop focusing on them. Yes, they are there. You're a human being. They're a part of you. But if you turn your eyes to God and actually live your salvation, those things will not matter. If you take them out of the spotlight and they won't be a focus anymore, Christ will be. It is quite the opposite of what some people think. It is not a chastisement, but rather a roadmap for your life, for your story in Christ. As a manager and then a corporate executive, I didn't put up or distribute lists of do-nots, but rather I put up and distributed do's. Why is that? I found that if I had my staff constantly blasted with what they ought not to do in order to succeed and to make the company a success, they became focused on the wrong things to do and were always in fear of messing up. I mean, the best way to fail would be right in front of their face daily if I did it any differently. And I've been in many jobs where that was the norm, but those warnings were right there in our face and became our focus. It's ineffective. I wanted them to be the best, and I couldn't make them the best if they were constantly seeing the worst. So I had them set their sights on what was achievable and on goals. The same applies to our Christianity. Paul, in this one chapter, wrote the perfect beginning to a company's standard operating procedures for its management. And we are so busy telling ourselves and others about our failures, or only failures, we have set a stumbling block in our path and that of our brothers and our sisters. They won't look for success. They will look at how to fail. Think about a child. If all you do is scorn them, they will only think about what bad things that they do. It becomes ingrained and fundamentally part of who they are. And you end up with some pretty warped adults. It becomes their fixation. How does that leave room for them to see the good things to focus on? But when we show them the right way to behave and to do things, guess what? They are successful. We make them set their sights on what is right, not on what is wrong. In order to change their behavior, we must first change their thinking. In time, their action changes. Being a Christian is just like that, or at least it should be. An even better example was what we've heard the past 2 weeks in the media. One week we heard all these horrible, terrible, bad things, and people became focused on that and became depressed and sad and sulky and gloomy. And then all of a sudden we heard positive, and people felt encouraged and uplifted. It's about the focus that changes our perception for bad or for good. One of the things I've repeatedly said over the months in which I've been able to stand here and preach, and by the way, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for trusting me to do that, because it's been an honor and a privilege. What I've said is how frustrated and angry I get when I see preachers in the pulpit demonizing the very people that they're supposed to be evangelizing. Rather than showing the perfect love of Christ and have them focus on that, they are busy promoting the damnation of God. If you think back to my sermon a couple of weeks ago, I used to be that kind of preacher in my earliest years of my faith and my ordination. Instead of being in the trenches where they belong, with those they wish to bring to Christ and realizing the goal is the same for each soul, they are sitting in judgment and pointing out the fox faults, as if they are feeding on their souls and relishing in their sins. I could almost hear them saying, with their thumbs stuck in their ears, "Neater, neater, neater," and their tongues stuck out. These folks remind me of the turkey vultures we have in the county. I know you guys have all seen them. You see them swooping through the air and then feeding in groups on the carcasses of whatever they can find. It is the very nature of these vultures to find the gnarliest and most repulsive thing to gravitate to, and then take advantage of it. And so it goes with these creatures. They haven't truly set their eyes upon the glory of God's love, the purpose of Christ's life, and they use his death for damning others. And that's not Christianity. They're doing it wrong. And that brings me to the title of the sermon. What is your story? Now, I don't mean your story from when you were born, but from when you were reborn. How do you behave now that you are a new creation in Christ? Are we like those turkey vultures? Do we find the most loathsome things to fixate on, whether it is what we watch or read or talk about, or repulsive behavior and how we handle and treat others? Are we working to uplift people so that they may see Christ in us? Or are we still showing our old selves that would make people doubt that God even exists in the world, much less in us? 1 Peter 2:2 says, "As newborn babes, desire the pure milk of the word, that you may grow thereby." So what kind of food are we eating? Is it old nasty stuff? We can't be like the vulture, the ones who hone in on dying on the grossest of the gross. The new birth, the birth in Christ, creates a new appetite, and it truly requires a new diet. Are we consistently setting our sights higher and on God? Philippians 4:8 tells us, "Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble and honorable, whatever things are just and right, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue of excellence, and if there's anything worthy of praise, meditate and dwell on those things." So are we acting like we were saved, or are we still stuck in the dead body of the person we were? Because you see, that flesh is stripped away. It no longer houses who we were, because who we were has been washed and atoned for in our salvation. But are we acting accordingly? Or are we just giving lip service to our faith? If you notice the words from the first song the guys sung for us today, you can get a glimpse of how we should be. Make me broken so I can be healed. Make me empty so I can be filled. Make me lonely so I can be yours. Till you are my one desire. Till you are my one true love. Till you are my breath, my everything, Lord. Please keep making me. When we come to Christ so humble that we want everything to be tossed and stripped away, we become his new creation. And what a glorious feeling that is. Sadly, so many lose that feeling as a Christian. That humbleness, that perfect feeling of perfect love, after we said those two life-changing words, I believe. One of the things I relish so much in my faith is that I realize I have nothing to hide from God. God has seen it all, he knows it all, and he's forgiven it all. I can be open and honest, and I can find it in my humility and know that even still I am loved and I am adored, and Christ calls me his own. For my heart is known, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And because it is known, I have no need to focus on the rotten and rotted part of myself. That is all covered in the blood of redemption through the sacrifice of the Son of Man, Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen and amen and amen. There's a story of a woman who was working in her front yard one day, weeding and planting new flowers. She was dressed in her gardening clothes and had dirt all over her hands. She looked up and saw a moving van pulling into the drive next door. Behind the van was a car, and a nice-looking family got out of it. The new family noticed the woman and came over to introduce themselves to her. They spoke for a few moments, and the woman in the garden invited the new family for a welcome dinner that evening. Then she went inside and told her husband to start getting ready, and she began dyeing her hair. As she was getting dressed, she put on false eyelashes and false fingernails, and the husband asked her, "Why are you going to so much trouble just for dinner?" She told him how the new family had seen her all dirty before, but now, they need to see the real her. Folks, here's the great thing about God. You don't need to put on the pretense. You can fool people with that, but not God, because God doesn't do photoshopping. He doesn't do dyed hair. He doesn't do fake anything. How often we take for granted that who we really are at our core is greed, and not the polished facade that we want to present to the world. But Paul knew it. Way back then, he said in Colossians, he said, look, you're messy. That's not going away. But you can do better. Here's the thing about being human, but being in a state of glory. When people can see us for who we actually are, unadorned and unprepared, they get to see how God actually sees us, how God actually loves us, and how actually we can love because of God. Not in spite of our imperfections of humanity, but because of our imperfections. They can see that God will take them just as they are too. No matter where they are in their journey in life, just as He took each of us when we became His beloved. The wonderful thing is that God made me, you, and you. And He knows us from the very depths of who we are. And God promises that if we set our sights above the things that make us mere human and instead focus on Christ's salvation, and we bring ourselves to a place where we fully trust in Him with total and complete abandon, we will find comfort, peace, bad news. God ain't got time for that. Listen to the good and glorious news, and in doing so bear fruit that is worthy of God and that is born of the Spirit. And so today I implore each of you, go out and share your story. Do not be afraid or ashamed of where you came from. It is all part of your journey. Set your sights on things that are higher and never be afraid to share them, so that those around you want to know why you are so full of love and joy. Demonstrate God's love. Do not speak God's judgment. That's not your job. There is a song by Big Daddy Weave, which was actually supposed to be what this whole service was based around. And the lyrics go like this. If I should speak, then let it be of the grace that is greater than all of my sins, of justice when justice was served and when mercy wins, of the kindness of Jesus that draws me in. To tell you my story is to tell of Him. And remember, people won't see your love of God or God's love for everyone if you merely belong to the Secret Service. This should be a bumper sticker of our faith. Rip off the fake facade and go with God. Let us pray. Heavenly Creator of all and everything, teach us to not fear our nature, but rather to look above it and to fix our sights on you, knowing that you'll fix only what you need to fix and in your time, not what other people want you to fix when they demand it to be done. Forgive us when we slip back into old habits and old behaviors, and remind us that in this life, we are not going to be perfect or even near perfect, that the journey and our story is not complete until we return to you. Keep us from beating ourselves up over the moments that we backslide, and help us to focus on your glory through the salvation of your Son, our Savior, Jesus the Christ, to whom we give all the honor and all the praise forever and ever. Amen. Please stand and join in our last hymn, number 352, Spirit Song. What we're going to do... What we're going to do is we're going to do the two verses in the course of the course, and then we're going to do the first verse again.